And we're back after a week off, and taking these mental health days. It's very important, especially during not only the hot months, but just in general, to help people out. We helped out quite a few friends over our little break, and then
It
we
really
haven't
is
stopped
hot
yet.
outside.
Yeah, it's really warm outside. It's offensively warm.
That's what Steve said. It's offensively
Yeah.
offensive.
Yeah, when you walk outside and you kind of just get smacked. It's
It's the audacity for me. I'm
that
ready for fall.
the mosquitoes are horrendous. Like,
Did you see that bite on Kira's hand?
yeah,
And they
that's what
Bro.
happens to me. Like, they bite me one time and they got my whole identity. Like,
Public service announcement is that Virginia mosquitoes are coming
yeah,
for your
literally,
bank account.
they will fly to you, land on you, and like take out a mortgage in your name. That's how bad they are. Like, they are bad. Next thing you know, you've got 12 credit cards and Bob Mosquito's just hanging around.
Like, they ain't getting nothing from me.
I know it?
I'm paying so much off. Like,
I got more debt than there are mosquitoes, so by all means, if you want to just suck out some of that debt, go for it.
that'd be great. Wouldn't
I
it?
won't stop you.
That would be great.
A simple itch for, a bill gone, go for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, we started doing the bi-weekly episodes. I kind of like it, though. We got a lot of good feedback on that one.
Yeah.
That seems better.
Well,
I like it.
Last week, we went and helped out one of our listeners.
Yeah.
She
She's really
needed
good. That was a good day. I
Yeah.
really liked it. We went all over the place. We went all over the Tri-City area.
She needed a lot of help too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like we've had 2 of those so far.
Yeah.
So I'm actually pretty excited
Yeah.
for anybody else that might want to do something like that. I like it.
Just like if you want to meet in person, hang out, talk, go over a few things. A lot of times some people, will write an email and not really know what to talk about, just like, oh, hey, I don't want to make sense, but you can't really see the mood through an email, which kind of leads us into this this
like,
email we got, but you can't really
we went out to eat and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't like an automatic thing of, oh my god, let's go directly into what's
no,
you.
you kind of set the table to see the feelings and lead up into it.
I like it. It's
like
very soothing. I wish you would have had that.
Yeah, I wish we would have had that piggyback. Someone would be like, hey, I'm your friend first before your helper. You tell me how you're feeling and what ails you.
I really got to catch up on emails too, because we've gotten like a few of them, but I did get this one before we like took our break. Now, they didn't say anything about their name, but I feel like maybe I should not mention like her name just in case, because they didn't give me a yay or a nay, and I feel like I'll make the wrong choice. So
if you want to email in and you want to be completely and totally anonymous, like, we're gonna keep you anonymous, as like a default.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, you can say my name, or I don't mind being, put out there.
Yeah, because we got a few of those.
Yeah, we've gotten a few of those who have.
I think that was the last episode where she was cool with us saying like her name.
So that's fine. Otherwise, you'll be automatically defaulted to being anonymous.
Yeah,
out of respect
I agree.
and
I feel like that's
courtesy.
safe. So
a lot of people want to write in because it's anonymous, and you're like, oh, I can say what I need to say, figure out stuff, get some advice, and get some help. And if I'm still in a crazy situation, or I'm still in contact with person who I'm speaking about, no one knows because there's no positive identification.
Yeah, there's some, that probably are still going through it.
Yeah.
Or maybe going through like some legal issues.
Yep.
But yeah, we got this one a couple weeks ago. So, and I'll catch up on emails. I apologize for that. at the beach, and then we took like a mental health break, and yeah, we've been helping people and all that good stuff, and just that damn adult responsibility of overtime and chores.
Oh.
I gotta cut the grass, but
yeah, we gotta get that done.
Yeah,
but it's
we ended up with
hot,
this guy,
so.
And until then, I apologize. I will catch up on them. I've seen them though come through, and I will answer them tonight.
Yep.
And we're looking into possibly putting the podcast on a different
platform,
but it'll still be on YouTube though.
Oh yeah.
And I'll update Spotify because someone asked about Spotify, but it's like a couple more that they had asked for. So apparently it's more popular than just strictly YouTube. So I'm gonna look into like a couple platforms for everybody. But yeah, let's get started. You get to read.
All right.
Everybody loves your soothing voice. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get it. So here we are. Dear Trash Talk, I am in love with my best friend. We stopped speaking back in February after 20 years of friendship. We never made demands or anything of the sort, but we knew we weren't good together. I treated her kind of beneath me. She treated me like I was a kid all the time that needed to be babysat. Instead of admitting the faults and the parts that I played, I said some not so great things that I replay in my mind on the regular. Instead of apologizing, I just yelled at her and walked away. Since that day, we have not spoken, and I can't get her out of my mind. Everything reminds me of her, no matter how much I try to block her out. Even the lies I told to people who didn't know her, pretending to be mad at her, are coming back to kick me in the ass, and it's driving me crazy. I know I deserve it, but deep down, in some weird way, I want to see karma kick her and hers. I just know she's probably way happier without me. I don't know why I let my anxiety get in the way back then, but I can't seem to be able to put my own petty aside to say I'm sorry either. I know more than likely she was the biggest problem in our friendship.
Oh no, it says I.
All right. There we go. Sorry, the email kind of went crazy on me.
Okay.
I know I more than likely was the problem in our friendship. It sounds terrible, I know. Hell, reading it, I wouldn't want to be in my own life. Why do we as humans punish one another so bad over idiotic things too? I've been listening to a few of your toxic friendship stories on your earlier episodes. Any advice you have would be great. Talking to one another again, I know isn't going to happen. How do you even go about admitting you're toxic and growing from it? Thanks. So there's a lot going on in that email. Like there's so many points of view, so many on and off, We'll just start with the I'm in love with my best friend. But, it's
that's
that can go either way in so many places, because it's when you actually have a true best friend, and you develop feelings in some sort of way, but probably neither one of you, even if you both felt the same way, want to jeopardize that.
Yeah, plus like kind of going over it to say this in like the best way, but there has to be a reason as to why y'all separated.
Yeah.
And it has to be a doozy because
especially if you walk away to never speak.
There has to be something
pretty
significant that maybe you can't come back from. As far as like advice,
like
humans punish one another because it's projecting for one.
Yeah.
Because why do we as humans punish one another so bad? Because it's projection. It's almost like, that hurt feeling or that gut feeling that you have when you feel anxious or overwhelmed or sad or whatever. You're going to say as much as possible, even if it's not the truth, just to get that pain out, because it'll make you like feel better, like having a bigger battleship or something.
Validation.
Sunk your battleship by saying something way worse.
Humans struggle with validation.
Yeah. They struggle with pretty much taking accountability for their own wrong, and pride gets in the way a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
And that's
the
not,
advice.
trying to kick you a little bit more while you're still down or anything, but that's kind of what it seems like in this email, is that your pride has gotten in the way a lot
Yeah, you
when it
don't
came
wanna,
to, like, your friendship and stuff.
Yeah, you had said you had kind of jumped on a little bit on the smear campaigning because you were feeling hurt and you wanted to be validating, and that's where smear campaigning comes from.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's not so much that you actually want to hurt somebody or want what you're telling them to be brought to light. It's more of you are hurt and hurting, and the only way to get that hurt out
by
is to
hurting
seek
someone else.
validation from
Yeah.
other people. So, when you're saying that even the lies I told to people, who didn't know her, with me pretending to be mad at her, even though you weren't mad, you were just upset at a situation and didn't.
You should have stopped and thought about it before you said something.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want someone to do the same thing to you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like a big problem, is people saying stuff without thinking. Like, if you would not want it said about you or done to you, you shouldn't do it to someone else. Especially if you are feeling the way that you were feeling about her, as
Yeah,
far as
that's-
saying that you're in love with her. If you love her,
Yeah.
I don't care
mean-
what people say as far as, oh, you hurt the ones you love most. I feel like you should protect them more than hurt them.
In a personal situation, it's me and you, we battled each other for years, even though we had a lot of outside influence
Yep.
projecting on us. Like our friends and people we were around, kind of pinned us against each other.
Okay, yeah.
I had feelings for her, she had feelings for me. We were friends for years. But it was like every time we turned around, we were battling and fighting and saying hurtful things and
Yeah,
this,
it
that,
was
the
like
other.
super,
And
super petty. But
people-
it was almost like, I had to say something worse than what you said to me.
exactly, yeah, that's the way the human mind works. It's
Trying to
like,
sink your
oh,
battleship.
you made me feel bad. I want you to feel as bad as I feel. So then your brain conjures up a way to be like, oh, she hurt my feelings and somebody else agreed with it. Let me think of something worse, even if it's not true, to bring it up and tell it to somebody that I know, to try to get a second person to validate me and say, hey, it's okay for you to be hurt. Like,
I knew it. No, I'm kidding.
even one of our friends is just now starting their therapy. Like after years of needing it, they took the big step to finally say, I'm going to go to therapy. And I've been through therapy. Trisha's been through therapy. Ashley's probably been through therapy. Everybody we know has at some point or another gone through some sort of therapy. Well,
Shoot, I'm going back.
yeah.
I'll see y'all later. I'm going to head out.
A friend of ours had the first session yesterday, and he's in the mindset of he wants to get better. He's accepted a lot of things that he's done wrong, but it hasn't quite set in because he's new to the therapy. So
It's also, I think that something was said too that like probably hurt his pride.
yeah.
So like the first thing that he came out with was like something from the past to kind of
Yep.
like jab.
Yeah,
You know?
it was kind of
Yeah.
he come out and we talked to him after his therapy. I made sure everything was okay, everything was going good, but it kind of like everything that happened, in his life, the way he portrayed how his therapy went, it kind of came out along the lines of, I told my version of my story and got praised for telling my version, but you didn't tell the whole book of how your version came out.
That's
But
pretty much
that's,
anybody though.
yeah, that's episode 1 of
yeah.
your therapy. I did the same thing,
therapy, but
Wow.
you're supposed to have that first one.
Yeah,
Because then she'll
that's-
come back and swing back around.
Yeah, that's like my first therapy session. pretty much was just an introduction to, hey, why did you come see me? What's going on? What happened in your past? Blah, 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 blah. And as the second and third session came around, it was like, okay, hey, look, this is why I'm here, like, really, because of this situation. And, one of the things he was, asking me, he's like, oh, okay, well, he said, I'm going to tell you how it really is. He goes, you have your version, then you have the real version. So, and he said a lot of times the human mind will play on you because no human ever wants to admit that they were wrong or they played a part that was wrong. So it's like,
it's a Kira pause.
Yeah. Nobody wants to admit that they were wrong. Hell, I know I didn't. Because it's like
the beginning.
Admitting you were wrong is like a way of saying, hey, there's a problem with me. And humans aren't set up to admit fault off the bat.
It's kind of like it takes you back to being a kid.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to get in trouble.
Exactly.
Or you don't want people to look at you bad. But the thing is that as much as you don't want someone to look at you that way, you're not really putting that into the universe when you're friends with other people or when you're gossiping or when you're trying to get that pain out and you say like a lot of stuff that you don't mean. If you want that, then you need to actually give that. That's definitely like my 2 cents without bashing anybody, because look, we've all been there. we have all done stupid stuff like this before, and it may sound terrible like she said in the email, but you need to pinpoint like this one little thing where you said, why do we as humans, it's a human reaction. It's a human reaction to kind of be a jackass every now and then.
It's a learned trait, because when you're a kid, you're like, hey, I broke a window. I know mom's going to get so upset or dad's going to get so upset. They're probably going to spank me and punish me, take this away, blah, 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 blah.
Let me lie.
So you're like, oh, well, maybe if I tell them a story as to how it happened, or if you got a sibling, you blame it on the sibling to avoid judgment and punishment. But then after you see your brother or sister get punished for something that you did, you feel guilt and remorse, and you end up coming forward, and then you end up getting twice the punishment. So it's like,
it's easier to speak the truth in the first place than it is to try and cover up a lie after a lie after a lie, because you're just going to bury yourself deeper. So if you want to know how you go about admitting that you're toxic and you grow from it, it's actions. You can say stuff all you want to, but your actions are going to speak louder than your words. So if you want to be different, if you want to take accountability, then your actions will speak for you. When you actually start, taking accountability, actually start taking action. So like, to me, if this was a really toxic friendship or relationship or what have you, my personal opinion is that I would step away and see what life is like without that reliance on a friendship or a relationship, because you're used to the familiarity of it, the routine, and that's probably what you miss more than anything, is that constant. But if it's toxic, I would step away and see what life is like without it. But like I said, I've been honest. The one that I thought would stay as far as like friendship wise is gone. And the one that I thought that would stay gone is back. And the universe will throw stuff at you to make you learn a lesson. And this was a big lesson for me to learn. And if you continuously keep getting the same scenario, even if it's different people, it's the universe trying to tell you that you haven't learned your lesson. So for me, I learned my lesson and everything just chilled out. But before, I kept getting the same, friends. They may be different faces, they may be different names, but they were the same personality, because the universe kept throwing that same lesson at me because I wasn't learning it. So for me, that's my piece of advice. If you feel like it's toxic and you're going to continue this cycle and you know that y'all are not going to change, then this is just going to keep lingering out over the years until literally it's going to escalate to this terrible, awful thing. But if you feel like y'all can both like step away and come back, after growing, and then maybe talk about reconciliation or maybe like a civil conversation or like lunch or something, that's fine. Sometimes you need like that goodbye lunch. I've done that before where I apologized, for the things that I did, said what have you, they did the same, and then we said goodbye, we parted ways, we never spoke again. Sometimes you just need that for your soul. So that's my 2 cents. If you feel like it's toxic, I would not go back. If you feel like there's some way, somehow, growth there to where y'all can grow together in the future, then sure. It's your life. It's nobody else's. Only you can decide that for yourself. But if you want growth, if you want peace, if you want to have like a drama-free life, then it takes you holding yourself accountable as well as them holding themselves accountable, and then you can grow together. So that's my 2 cents as Kira continues to beat Hoss. And I've told the world.
She's an abuser. She's an abuser, Clark. Abuser.
She's relentless. You go play that Animal Crossing.
My take on it, and this is just something that I've done. Me and a friend had a pretty big falling out. We had a thing, where kind of like something happened, and he felt betrayed. So in his betrayal, he like had this whole vision thought up, and because he felt betrayed, he dug as deep as he possibly could to find as many hurtful and below the belt jabs as he possibly could to make himself feel better for being hurt. Yeah. Well, in that process, it pretty much tore whatever friendship we had, down to, sand grains. It was non-existent. We didn't speak for months. So it was, but little by little, things during those months of us not speaking, we blocked each other on all platforms and phone numbers and this, that, the other, being petty, but even though, in his eyes, I'm the one that betrayed and started everything, but in my eyes, he was the one that, started everything. And he said a whole bunch of hurtful things. I said a whole bunch of things. But after about 3 to 4 months of neither one of us speaking, neither one of us having anything to do with each other, it was things like his friends were pulling it out and telling me that he would mention me a lot, and he would, I'd get brought up in conversation randomly, or he would be saying things. Yeah. At the same time, my friends were picking up on me telling, using his name, or, hey, having memories, remember that time that we did this or we did that, or, to a point of where, and then it was actually, Trisha's idea to say, hey, look, neither one of you are kind of talking right now. So how about, since if you see face to face, all it's going to do is escalate and you're going to digress so far from it because you're still going to have that anger. Mm-hmm. What if you write a letter? Like, create like a bucket list of things that you felt like he did wrong, and then search yourself and come up with things that you think you could have done better as like a soul searching thing. Yeah. So I said, hey, that sounds like a good idea. So I went back and I ended up writing, I'm a big writer. So I ended up writing an 11-page, 5-paragraph, if you will, essay of the beginning of our friendship and things that I seen were faltered and this, that, the other, and sending, it was like a big apology letter and admitting things that I should have done better, that I did wrong, and things I was sorry for, and how things ended, and sent it off. I was like, hey, look, yeah, I've got everything that I needed out, and the ball is in, your court. So it's like, hey, look, here's the thing. Now at the time, my buddy was kind of like
It was a halvesies.
it was a
thing at the
halfsies
time.
thing because
He still had those angry.
he read my letter. He still had a lot of like betrayal anger. So he started off like the first, sentence or two was like, hey,
Really
I
good.
understand this, that, the other, but the feelings came back to him and the letter ended abruptly and shortly with, kind of like back to the jab. So he wasn't ready to move that on.
Yeah.
It actually took like another month for him to kind of like admit that he missed me as much as I missed him.
Yeah.
So, and then slowly but surely we kind of reintegrated ourselves in our lives. And it took, it's been a couple years now and it took time to,
Yeah.
and
And
we're
y'all
still,
are still, learning.
yeah, we're still learning, still doing things. And, he still gets on my damn nerves, but, and I still get on his. It's
yeah,
just,
but I feel like y'all got like a good amount of love for each other.
we're a lot better off than we were, say, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
When we had our big fight.
Sitting down and writing a letter helps you think.
It is, because the reason I say write this in a letter or write this in a list, do a side-by-side comparison, like as per our writer, do a list of stuff on one side of the paper of things that she did to you that made you feel less than. Well, then at the same time, on the other side of the paper, write things that, oh man, if I would have done this better. Oh, if I would have done that better. Or man, when we had this argument, I should have said this. Because when you write a letter or you write a list, nobody's judging you. You're not being put on the spot. Nobody's in front of you
you're
to
not nervous
contradict what you're saying, to break down what you're saying. If you're like, okay, hey, we'll just use for a hypothetical sense, hey, we went out to a restaurant and she always made me pay even though she made more money than me. This is just a theoretical thing.
Yeah.
And instead of you confronting her and be like, oh, hey, it's one of the days, like, do you mind, paying? I'm a little short. Or do you think, we could kind of split things up? Or, you pay for your portion, I pay for my portion, just as like, so it's not one-sided. If that conversation arose and she said no, or you said no, or came across in a wrong way, then your tempers got heated, things didn't go the way they were supposed to go. Next thing you know, you're arguing and fighting. In a letter, nobody's contesting what you're saying. And I say this, because that's how I've done with things, even, my past relationships, the one, I'm rid of, we were not good together by no means whatsoever. So every time that I tried to say something that had hurt my feelings or that was bothering me, she took offense to it and immediately started, throwing jabs and this, that, the other. And then I started throwing jabs back just to try to, one up and do this, that, the other. But when I would send long messages to Messenger or on the phone, because I wasn't standing face to face with her to see her reaction. She wasn't there to cut me off. She wasn't there, to do this, that, the other, and Trish and me are the same way. A lot of times when you have a disagreement about anything, if you're face to face, you're going to contest things. It's like, oh, well, that's not how this happened. That's not how it happened. But if you just step back out of that scenario, gather your thoughts, you don't have that person right there in your face, send them a message. Be like, oh, hey, look, this is what I was trying to say, how I felt. Do you think that's valid, this, that, the other? And the other person that gives them, be like, oh, okay, I didn't see it in that light because we were arguing, we were fighting. I see where you're coming from. Now here's where I'm coming from. And then you can kind of meet in the middle. So
it takes a lot of understanding and patience, and it has to be from both ends.
Exactly.
It can't just be one-sided. If it's one-sided, then it's just going to end up in an argument.
So like I would say, when you say, do you have any advice as to your situation? If you don't talk to her, this, that, the other, write her a letter. Or if you don't have her address, but you got her on like your social media contact, send her a message. Don't start off with like, hey, I'm really mad how you did this, that, the other. You know, if you truly want to have closure or, you know, try to start things back up and rekindle, if that's something that is going crazy, in a message, if you send her a heartfelt message or she sends you a heartfelt message explaining, hey, I'm sorry I did this, that, and the other, and she comes back defensive, guess what? It's a message. You're like, oh, well, if she came back defensive, then at least I know, you know, that she's not ready or this may never happen again. I can move on, this, that, the other. Same thing with a letter. You leave it open for interpretation. Write down everything in your heart's feelings as to how you feel and admit in a letter what you did wrong, because you're not really admitting, you're not really taking a hit to your pride or your pettiness, because you're explaining it in a letter and it's only going on a piece of paper. You're not standing in a room full of, you know, people judging you.
Yeah.
You're not on a court of appeals. It's what you believe and the words are there. Mm-hmm. You know, nobody's going to throw them back in your face and this, that, the other.
Yeah.
So it's like you could do it on your own accord. That's my advice towards how to communicate with your long-term friend.
Yeah. And I can use the buddy that I didn't know that was, you know, going to come back, because the universe likes to play out that way sometimes. We wrote emails before, you know, we decided to come to terms of having like a lunch together. But, you know, it took some time. It was not one of those things where we just automatically were like, oh, 2 or 3 emails and hell yeah, let's go out to eat. We honestly battled at first. Yeah. And once we took a step back and realized that, hey, how would I feel if tables were turned? Would I feel this way? But like I said, it takes 2. Yeah. Not just a one-sided thing. Like, it takes 2 to actually make it work. And if you want it to work, it will. Yeah. And sometimes people just grow apart. Sometimes you just need like a goodbye lunch. I've done that plenty of times. And sometimes you just don't chase them at all. And that's what I did with the one that I thought would stay. But it's one of those things where it doesn't haunt me, because I made amends with the situation. I made sure to sit there and understand from their point of view, but I was not reciprocated, I guess, in that. Mine was completely like just brushed aside because she was still feeling a certain way, and that's fine. But the thing is that you can't continuously tell a lie to try and make it truth. Yeah. And that's what it was. That's what it boiled down to, is the truth was haunting and the lies were better because she liked the lies better. Yeah. The truth is always a thing that, you know, a lot of people reject. And, you know, sometimes it be like that. Sometimes it's just like that. Sometimes people are just people and they're out there peopling. And you can't control that. You can only control what you can do. So if you feel like if you want to pursue this, you want to write an email, letter, whatever, you know what you've said, you know what you've done. Yeah. And you did everything that you possibly could, then it's time to let go. If you don't get that same, you know, vibe, that same energy, let it go. Now, move on. That's just the way it is. Hell, I still get a lot of hate every day from people who assume that they know what's going on based off of the lies. And that's okay. You know what? Do it. Because honestly, the lie was so much more entertaining, so I get it. That was like actually pretty smart, I'll give you that. But the truth itself is really fucking boring. Yep. So if you want to believe it, by all means. It ain't hurt my feelings. It don't destroy my life. And it don't stop me from thriving. So by all means, do it. But people have to understand that, hello, this is your life. And life goes by so quickly. If it's not, you know, feeding your soul and making you a better person and helping you to have like a beautiful, peaceful existence, don't do it. It's real simple. Just don't do it. And I know that's more easily said than done, but have some willpower, man. Don't be treated bad. Don't let other people treat you bad, but don't you treat other people bad either.
Yeah.
Real simple stuff. And it takes, it takes time, especially if you grew up in like an atmosphere or a cycle where it was a consistent negative environment, or you really weren't taught how to like communicate. I know that's how we all grew up. So for us, we had to go to therapy, learn communication, all that good stuff. 100%. Definitely think about it before you do it.
I would definitely say therapy, because if you were in any type of relationship, friendship, romantic, whatnot, and you're able to write us and admit that you were toxic in some way and that she was toxic right back, then that's already your first step, is you admitted that you weren't the greatest person. Aside from what she did, just start with not worrying about what she did and worrying about what you did first.
Yes. I think that's a big step.
That's your basic step for admitting and ready to heal.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a pretty big step, so you should applaud yourself for that one.
For your the part at the end when you said, how do you even go about admitting you're toxic? You've already done that. As far as growing from it, make a list. It takes nothing to make a list. Make a list of every time in your past, like where you ended up in an argument with someone, like, oh, what could I have done? And think about the things that you could have done better. Yeah. I know I've done it, a lot, but it's a lot easier than standing in front of somebody or, sitting here having a conversation and saying, hey, I did this, 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 and this. If I write it down, it's already there, set in stone that, hey, this is what I could have done better, versus sitting face to face and you don't know. You might alter something because of a way someone's looking at you, or you might change something up or change some details because you replay it in your head and you second guess, like, oh man, I can't believe I admitted that. They're going to look at me different, so let me change a detail. Versus having it on paper, you can look at it and read it. So like you get in a fight with your best friend over, a love interest, and you say a bunch of hurtful things and this, that, the other, and then you take a step back, write it on a piece of paper, be like, hey, I've loved this person, you love this person, blah, 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 this, that, the other. What's our common ground? And you can work from it from there. So that's your TED Talk for me is I would say the biggest problem with humans is we never get closure. Closure's our biggest issue. A lot of, whether it be someone passing away or, a long lost friend that you haven't talked to, you never got closure. So there's your best friend writing a letter. Because, like, actually, one of the people from my long lost past that I knew back in high school, I just kind of reached out to, a while ago and was like, hey, look, this is me. I'm blah, 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 this, that, the other. I haven't heard from you in a while. I was in a rut and this, that, the other, just checking to see how you're doing, seeing what you're up to, and we kind of messaged back and forth for quite a while, and she ended up apologizing for the things that she had done, to stab at me and to hurt at me. And she said she shouldn't have done this, that, the other. And I said, well, I wasn't, the greatest either. I did this and I did that and blah, 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 blah. It was through messages. I couldn't see her face. I couldn't see her, how she was reacting to what I was typing. It was only words. So there was no pressure. So I found, in my personal opinion, that it's a lot easier to write it out what you're trying to say. And if it's not responded to in a way that you like, don't message back or don't respond back. At least you know that you tried, and giving something your best to try to better the outcome is a feeling of like self-recovery on itself, because you're like, I put forth the effort and I tried. If they chose not to respond, at least my conscience is clear, and you can begin your process of, okay, I tried. There's no way to fix it. There's no way to, come back from it. I can move on, and you can take that same advice, and wherever you go in your future endeavors, you have the tools of like, I did this wrong in this friendship. Let me not make the same mistakes again. I did this, I did that. I know that they did this and they did that too, so you know what to look for, as far as signs of like, oh, hey, I need to step back. I don't need to go into this.
Yeah.
Learning tools.
Agree, because the universe will literally just keep sending you the same message through different people if you continue making the same, I wouldn't say mistakes, but the same actions, the same, things that you should have already learned. Because I know I've been through it at least a handful of times, maybe a little bit more than that, because you consistently see the red flags or something is showing you that, hey, this isn't right, and you just make excuses for it because you don't want to lose it. But the thing is, if it's real, if it's true, if it's solid,
you won't have to worry about losing it.
You won't have to worry about losing it, because if someone's there with you, whether they're, in a friendship with you or a relationship with you, then they won't take offense. They won't be defensive. They won't sit there and try to make excuses for things. They'll be like, you know what, you're right. And they'll come together with you, and you're still going to have your bad days.
Yep.
Like, you're still going to have the, oh, well, you did this and this and this, and then you're going to catch it, and you're going to be like, you know what, that was the wrong thing to do.
Yep.
That was the wrong thing to say. I apologize. So
you already have the tools you need.
There you go. I think that's pretty solid advice, sir.
Yep.
And write us back. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
I like the people writing us back.
I know.
It's like a story
It
that
is. It's like,
we have to wait for the sequel.
It kind of helps us get to, anonymously, of course, but it helps us get to know you.
Yeah.
Like, instead of, like which is good, either way, if you just want to send your piece in and vent, and be like, oh, hey, this happened here, you can get our advice and you can go on about your merry way. But, like, you can also write and be like, hey, this happened, blah, blah, blah. What's your take? We can give your advice. You can take the advice, or you can do something similar, or you can do something completely, back row and go a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let us know how it works, because,
Keep us
ultimately we can
updated on
feed
it.
off of that too, It's like, oh, man, hey. And then for the next viewer or the next listener, we gave you advice on this, that, the other. This is how it turned out. So we can use that and be like, hey, another person, is going through something similar. Look, this is what we suggested, and this is how it turned out with on their fairy tale.
With a lot of the Moxie emails.
Yep.
So, okay. On that note, we're going to leave you, and we will be back. And what's today? Hang on. I'm having a stroke a little bit. We'll be back on the 30th. So keep giving us those emails so we can keep coming back with like new material, or just like, if you want us to talk about something else that we've already spoken about, by all means, go for it. But keep us updated. I really like the updated emails.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
let us know like part 2 of your story.
It's wild. And I really like, I don't know, it sounds so weird, but every time that we go somewhere and somebody recognizes us or something because of the podcast, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
So keep coming up to us. Keep talking. Keep, bringing up mental health awareness. That's the only way it's going to change, you know? And if you can't, this is also before we leave, if you can't find a therapist, on the very first, second, or third try, don't give up.
Yeah.
Because there's some therapists out there that are just, it's like a number to them. It's like a doctor.
Uh-huh.
It's the same, and therapists are doctors. So it's like OBGYN, I guess, or your, doctor.
Primary care physician.
Yeah, primary care physician. I was thinking like pediatric. I was like, not everybody has kids. But if it's something that's just not working, don't give up on it. Keep searching. There's people out there, like even on community boards or anything on Facebook. Keep researching that stuff, because if you can get a first person like point of view, then you'll be surprised like the doctors that you can come across. Because honestly, Virginia Women's Center in Richmond. They have like different locations, but I went to the Richmond one. They're an amazing company. Everybody that I knew that said that they were amazing, they're not lying.
Yeah.
So, and that's not me getting paid for that at all. I'm not getting paid at all. No sponsorships are on here unless you want us to, but they're amazing. If you've never tried them before and you're having problems with like your OBGYN or whatever, go to them. As far as like pediatrics, I have like 2 that I love. And as far as like my therapist, she moved. So I would be in the same boat as everybody else. I would be searching for like a new doctor. But the friend that we were talking about who just went to therapy, he found one in Richmond. I grew up in Richmond. Yeah. I just feel like doctors there are a shade better at communication.
Oh God, yeah.
Than they are in the Tri-City area. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that it's above everybody else's. It's just I personally have had no luck in the area. So
it took me three different therapists before I found. It took me 3 different therapists before I found number 4, and ironically, it was in Richmond too. But I talked to one in Hopewell. I talked to one in Colonial Heights. I talked to one in Dinwiddie. And all of them were more about keeping a time schedule and getting money and not wanting to see everything than they were understanding where I was coming from and what I'd been through until number 4. Yeah. And he was like, look, I'm not going to give you another appointment. I'm not going to, tell you this, that, the other. I'm not going to be like watching a clock saying, hey, the session's over. Come back to me tomorrow. By the way, submit your insurance card. This is more. Yeah. He sat down with me and talked to me one-on-one. If it ran over, it ran over. If it was shortened, it was shortened. You come to me when you want to talk, but I'm not going to give you a scheduled session because a lot of people will stress out over having a scheduled time to be somewhere if their work conflicts or this, that, the other. So they are out there. If you have no luck with number 1, number 2, or number 3, number 4 may just be your cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it'd be like that.
So
I'll make a t-shirt like that. Yep, we're leaving now because you know us, we'll keep on rambling and then it's going to be like an hour. Ramble on. But yeah, focus on not only, bettering yourself for the future, but your growth. It's really up to you. Like, a lot of people don't think that you have that, but you do. You really do. Your actions will speak louder than your words. So keep us updated. Keep up with the Facebook. If we have different platforms that we're going to post on, we're going to post that tonight too. We're a little bit behind today, but we are here. We're alive. We did it. Anything else to say before we head out until the 30th?
No, we just, if you can't talk to somebody face to face, do it through a channel, do it somewhere, where you're not face to face, you're all alone with your own thoughts and you can send something, how you actually feel without getting angry.
Yep. And stay safe, Don't put yourself into harm's way at all.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Y'all take it easy. We'll see you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
And stay cool. Yeah. For the love of God.
Yes. If you have to work outdoors, just do it early in the morning or do it late in the evening when the sun's going down.
Yup. That be it. Okay. I'm out. Bye.
Pieces.